Hi, everybody. My name is Patrick Flanagan. I'm going to be taking you through a course today which focuses on AI for productivity. It's really about how professionals can get ahead today, given the landscape with AI, and really it's about how do we use practical strategies to leverage AI tools and focus on important tasks that are really going to free up our time to focus on the things that are important. The idea of AI is, not to take your job or to, completely automate everything in your workflow, but really what it's meant to do is take away all the grunt work that you have to do on a day-to-day basis that's mundane. It doesn't take a lot of thought and free up that time to really have you focus on the work that matters and that requires human thoughts. I work at Salesforce as an AI specialist, so I live in this day to day. I work in a seller role that's also, kind of a hybrid of a technical role as well. So, this is kind of why I know so much about the subject. Really, what you're going to learn from the course today and what you'll get out of it is, demystifying what AI really is. So we want to focus on how we can leverage AI to give you a head step in your career, how to helping you save time, cut out noise, and really operate like a one-person powerhouse. You don't have to be technical. You just need to learn how to think with AI and apply it to the processes that cause you the most amount of, downtime that are mundane and don't require a ton of human thought. It'll really be a tool to help you structure your ideas, feed the right inputs, and let the tools do the grunt work so you can focus on the tasks that require real thought. Let's talk a little bit about our agenda today. So, we'll start off with what AI really is. It's understanding the fundamentals of it and why it matters for your career. What is an LLM? It's the technology that powers today's most powerful AI tools. We'll go into that so you can understand what it's for and how to use it. Staying compliant. A really underrated portion of AI that a lot of people run into trouble with is understanding how to responsibly and safely use AI within company guidelines. I made this course. I promised myself, I wouldn't let anyone get in trouble from, using some of the technology. Every company has different guidelines, and it's important that you understand those so you know how to leverage AI in a safe manner. Really just understanding the tool and the landscape, like, what are the tools out there and how do they make my life easier, and how does a professional like me leverage them. And then I'll be showing you kind of my personal AI workflow of how I think about what I use AI for in my day to day. I'll be giving you some real world examples of how I do that and how it transforms my daily tasks. I'll also be walking through a live demo during that portion to where I'll be showing a few different use cases, simple use cases for leveraging the different AI tools I leverage. And then we'll go through how we can prompt GPT and Gemini properly to make sure you get the best responses and it's grounded in context. And then from there, we can talk about advanced use cases. And then the last portion, we'll talk about what is our call to action here. Our call to action is going to be how do we take everything we learned in this course? How do we understand, create a process map so that we can use that to create a workflow using AI that solves for a lot of the mundane processes that I have to deal with at my job. Let's go ahead and get kicked off here. But pretty much by the end, you'll know how to turn a lot of these, more mundane tasks and messy inputs into meeting notes, documents, emails, and they'll be polished in minutes versus, taking half an hour to get something across the line. What are the different types of AI and why do each of them matter? There's three different types. Two of them we're not really going to focus on today, and those two are predictive, which is really for things like forecasting outcomes and detecting patterns in data. This can be used for things like credit scoring, Spotify recommendations. If you were a customer at a bank, banks can look at all of your different financial transactions in the past and to make assumptions on your spending habits. We won't be focusing on today is Agentic. And Agentic is a type of AI that acts autonomously to complete tasks for you. So there's a bunch of different tools like GPT agents, which can do like website searches for you and which can help you book appointments. And then there's Microsoft Copilot and the Microsoft Suite that can help you add some more autonomy to your workflows within the Microsoft Suite. You have Amazon AWS Bedrock, which really is like kind of a framework for creating an agentic enterprise, and then other solutions like Decagon. Basically, what these do is that they're able to automate workflows in the sense that a human doesn't even have to prompt them to kick them off. if you were to kick off, a headless or an agentic workflow, it'd be triggered by something that's like a system context trigger, which means basically an event needs to happen in a system in order for it to be kicked off. So say like, something happens like, if you're a Salesforce user, which is a CRM, say, a call summary is logged in the Salesforce or the transcript. An example of an autonomous use case would be an agent going in to read the transcript on your behalf and then sending a follow-up email automatically out to the client. Won't be talking about that today. But the portion we will be spending a lot of time on is the generative AI side. And really what this does is it creates entirely new content from prompts that you feed into GPT, into Gemini, or into Claude. Some examples of those systems, like I just mentioned, GPT, which I personally like the best for, creating content, emails, all those kinds of things. Gemini is pretty good too. I have to use it at my company right now because they have an enterprise agreement with them. So I'm pretty proficient in Gemini. Claude is really good for coding and project management. It gets more granular than GPT in some areas, and it's great. Microsoft Copilot is another example. That's more on the enterprise side. You typically don't see people using that individually. It's usually companies that deploy that tool for individual productivity. But anyway, the key takeaway here is that AI doesn't replace people, it amplifies them. If your job involves complex problem solving, AI is not going to take it anytime soon, especially if it's something that has a lot of nuance or relationship management into it. It's not going to directly take your job, but I tell you what will. You will be replaced by someone eventually that knows how to leverage it better than you. So I would really suggest learn it now and give yourself a head start, because you'd be surprised at how low the bar is. Most people don't even use GPT or LLMs practically or effectively, and I'll be teaching you that for the rest of the course. So, moving forward, let's talk about what a large language model is. It's basically the brain of how ChatGPT or Gemini or a Claude works, right? It's trained on billions of words across books, conversations, and code. And basically, what an LLM is it's the foundation of modern generative AI systems. So pretty much what you're able to do is think of it as like walking into a library and then asking a librarian to find every relevant book, summarize them, and write a report on someone like Julius Caesar, for example. Instead of, you having to go through all the manual work of finding it by yourself, the librarian, aka your prompt in GPT or Gemini, is going to be able to find all the books that mention Julius Caesar, pull them from the history section, the biography section, bring them back to you, and they give you a quick summary of like, hey, here's everything you need to know about Julius Caesar. That's pretty much what an LLM does as its core. And then also it can continue to generate and create content, not just summarize it. So say, next I wanted to be like, hey, can you create an essay for about Julius Caesar and, all of his exploits based on the summary you just gave me and based on the sources, right? It could do things like that as well. That's what I would say is kind of like the easiest way to think about it. And then again, some of the leading LLMs that we're seeing out here are GPT, which is, their most recent version is GPT-5, so aka OpenAI, owned by Sam Altman. You have Gemini, which is owned by Google. You have Claude, which is hosted by Anthropic, and then you have Perplexity AI, which is a deep research tool. But at the end of the day, garbage in, garbage out. Your quality of your content and responses from the LLM are only as good as the inputs. The clearer your input is, the better the output. Vague requests are going to give you really disappointing results. So that's how I would think about that. And when you prompt GPT or Gemini, you're not just searching, you're generating, and you're getting clear, and you're giving it clear contextual prompts, and then it can give you clear answers. Let's talk about